Hi everyone! This is the first of a series of short video lectures for Advanced Object-Oriented Analysis and Design on the topic of design at the detailed system level. These lectures will cover how to properly design classes in a class diagram. So remember what you learned in OOAD on class diagrams? Those are the basics. Here, you learn more than how to make class diagrams, you learn how to make good class diagrams, so that the system is easier to develop and to maintain. Isn't that exciting? Now, at the end of this series of lessons, you'll be required to complete a quiz on MEL. The last question in the quiz asks for a password, and I will give you one letter to the password in each video lecture, so you must pay attention. Yes, I am an evil person. In this lesson, we will just give a quick recap on something that was already covered in OAD, which is the different classifications of class diagrams. So let's get started. Depending on the level of detail that we want, we can use three different terms to describe class diagrams. The first term is simply class diagram, and in order to qualify as a class diagram, it must have classes, such as a student class and a module class, as well as associations with labels and multiplicities, like this. So for example, this class diagram states that a student may take multiple modules, and a module may be taken by multiple students. Class diagrams at this level of detail are created early in the system development process. We are still trying to figure out the requirements of the problem. So at this stage, maybe all you really know is that our system is required to model a student, and that students takes modules. Later on in the system development process, you will graduate to class domain models, because everything in class diagrams, but also includes attributes. So for instance, you might realize that we have to capture the data of a student that includes student ID as well as the name. And for modules, we need to record the module code and the name. Now, class domain models are created later on when you've got a pretty good idea of the requirements of the system that you're trying to develop, and you're starting to think about the data that you need to capture. The greatest level of detail is known as the class design diagram, and this includes everything in the class domain model plus operations, such as putting the add module operation in a student and the add student operation in a module. And you also have to include attributes and return types. So in this case, we might realize that a student ID is a string, the name is a string, and module code is a string. Furthermore, we know that the add module operation returns void, and the add student operation returns void. Now, class design diagrams are created when you're very close to coding. And at this point, you have decided on, say, the programming language. So if you notice, string has a capital S, so this could be Java, a string class, rather than the basic data type string from possibly C++. Right? And you might also have a good idea of the overall general design, as well as the implementation platform. In summary, there are three types of class diagrams. The first is simply known as class diagrams, and they have classes and associations. Now, all class domain models are also class diagrams, but they include attributes. And in fact, all class design diagrams are also class domain models, and therefore they are also class diagrams. And class design diagrams have data types and operations. It is important to understand that these different class diagrams are used at different stages of the system development process, depending on whether you are still figuring out the problem, whether you're starting to think about the data that the system has to capture, or whether you're close to implementation and you need the class diagram as a way to document the various data types and operations that will belong in the various classes. And at this point, I want to say that the first letter of the password is C. C for class. Thank you all for watching this first in the series of short video lectures on design at the detailed level. The next lesson will talk about how to define attributes in your class. And for your patience, here's a potato.